Did you know that some CSGO skins in Battle-Scarred condition look way better than factory new ones? I will show you the most interesting and best looking Battle-Scarred skins in CSGO. I will go in order from the cheapest to the most expensive ones. So let's begin. This is Mag 7 Rust Coat in factory new condition. And this is the same Mag 7 in Battle-Scarred condition. All Rust Coat skins get rustier with a higher float, so that's a pretty cool feature. Next is R8 Revolver Bone Forged, and it gets green patina with a higher float. In my opinion, it looks better than a factory new one. Glock 18 Clear Polymer gets darker and rustier with a higher float. All blue steel skins turn more purple with a higher float, as we can see on this XM1014 blue steel. Glock 18 Off-World has a hidden skull with a crown, and it becomes more clear with a higher float. Up next we have SSGO8 Abyss. In factory new it looks quite blue, but in Battle-Scarred it looks dull and desaturated. P90 Off-World has the same features as the Glock Off-World. With a higher float, some hidden details come out. It has Devil's Face, Illuminati symbol, and some other stuff engraved on it. P250 Verdigris is a rusty looking skin and it gets more green color with a higher float. Mag 7 Firestarter looks quite clean in factory new, but when the float goes up, it should look like the paint is burning. And with a higher float, you can see less of that paint. My favorite R8 skin is Llama Cannon, and it has a pretty cool look. In Battle-Scarred, it becomes black and white skin with a golden llama on the barrel. Atheris in Battle-Scarred condition scratches around the snake, leaving all the scales. P2000 Imperial Dragon goes from orangey red in factory new to neonish pink in Battle-Scarred, which in my opinion looks way better. Safari Mesh becomes almost fully black, going up from 0.76 float. M41S Basilisk becomes darker with a higher float and gets this interesting look. M41S Night Terror gets a very cool looking effect in Battle-Scarred. With a higher float, it becomes more purple. P90 Death Grip with a float above 0.8 lets you see some bones, and with a higher float it removes background even more. Exoskeleton has a purple look in factory new, but in Battle-Scarred it gets this blue steel color and some rust. Tech 9 Hades has a bunch of helmets, and when it turns Battle-Scarred, some of the helmets become skulls. You can also get a full black scope on Chromatic Aberration, but the float has to be above 0.55. Probably a skin that no one uses. Sawed-Off Copper gets greener with a higher float. Bloodhound gloves Charred get a rusty look in Battle-Scarred and could go well with other Battle-Scarred skins, especially with the Rust Coat skins. Probably the darkest knife in CSGO is Huntsman knife Black Laminate, and it gets darker with a higher float. Here is Nomad Blue Steel. As I mentioned before, all blue steel skins get a purple look in Battle-Scarred condition, including knives. Talon knife Rust Coat, same as all other Rust Coat skins, get rustier with a higher float, and makes a really good combo with those Charred gloves. Asimov has a very famous look that is called Blackimov, because the scope becomes fully black with a float above 0.95, and it gets more expensive with a higher float. If you like it a lot, but it is too expensive, then there is a cheaper version that is called Fake Blackimov. These ones have a float between 0.9 and 0.95. I'm not sure if it looks better, but on M41S Welcome to the Jungle, above 0.9 float, you can see the scales where the skin got scratched. Next is a very old and expensive skin, Op Medusa. With the float 0.9 or above, it is called Green Witch, because it gets slightly more green in higher float. Now we have a pretty recent and even more expensive skin, Op Desert Hydra. When it goes above 0.57 float, it gets a black scope and a black barrel. But it's not like the other ops with black scopes. This one has some artwork on it, and it is very rare because the float of Desert Hydra is capped at 0.6. The last and most expensive skin on this list is Op the Prince. It gets a black scope and a black barrel when the float is above 0.59. It is even rarer than the black scope Desert Hydra, because its float is capped at 0.6, so that's 1 decimal to get a clean black scope. The cheapest that I found was listed for 3,600 euros. So these were the best looking Battle-Scarred CSGO skins. Let me know which ones you liked the most in the comments. Until the next one, peace.